I mean, I think that you would agree with me is that kind of to have a well-balanced life, you really need to have four stable table legs, like spiritual, physical, mental, and financial health. Like if you have all those dialed in, you have a really stable table to build your life on. And I think that people tend to neglect one of those at
Mm.
certain points in their life, and a lot of that is due to being ashamed maybe that they haven't figured it out yet. Like I know that you work with a lot of people in the medical profession, and I have a lot of doctor clients as well, and it is amazing like once you start really kind of making that kind of money after your fellowship or your residency, that you're not really well equipped to know what to do.
You are tuned in to the Money Script Podcast. Today, we will share strategies to help you grow your financial literacy and improve your money script. I'll be back with some important announcements. Until then, enjoy the show.
Welcome back to the Money Script Podcast. It's your host, Johannes Harrison. So happy to be with each and every one of you on this beautiful day. Today, I am joined by Katy Song. She is a certified financial planner at Domain Money. Did I get that right? Domain Money?
Yeah.
Coming live from Austin, Texas right now. I know it's right down the road, but we couldn't make it happen. So we're still doing this, this virtual thing, but it's working because most of you are listening anyways. And I said that, Kate, I said most people are listening. They're not watching. But if you are watching us on YouTube, hi. Thanks for joining us on YouTube. So if this is your first time on the podcast, I am a financial advisor. I've been working with clients to help them make better financial decisions for over 25 years. Part of the reason why I started this podcast was back in 2020. I wanted a way just to connect with more people, to provide more financial literacy. And I said, well, you know what? I'm going to go out and start interviewing all of the people that I admire in this industry and outside the industry as well. So today is another version of Between Two Advisors. So what you're going to get is basically two advisors that happen to see each other at the coffee stand in the office and struck up a conversation. So we might talk about you, but we're also going to talk about just financial literacy and our view of financial literacy and how we are helping people make better financial decisions. So with that, Katy, welcome to the Money Script Podcast.
Thanks so much for having me. I'm really excited.
Indeed, me too. So let's just dive into. Let's start with, why are you in Austin? I thought that was a pretty good story you started to tell there. What took you to Austin?
So it turns out that a lot of content creators live in Austin. And I am also here to do more of a lifestyle podcast tomorrow. So in order to be able to do everything, I flew in late last night. So I'm working out of my hotel room today, and then we'll be on another podcast tomorrow.
Okay, so lifestyle, meaning just incorporating finances into.
They don't really even talk about finances that much. I kind of think that, looking at kind of their previous history, unlike yours, which is all financial literacy, not all, but, a lot of financial literacy, all. They do a lot of everything from personal training to how do you take care of your skin to,
So you're the financial component. You're the expert they're bringing in to kind of put a nice bow on everything and say, eating healthy can be good for your money too.
And I mean, I think that you would agree with me is that kind of to have a well-balanced life, you really need to have four stable table legs, like spiritual, physical, mental, and financial health. Like if you have all those dialed in, you have a really stable table to build your life on. And I think that people tend to neglect one of those at certain points in their life. And a lot of that is due to being ashamed maybe that they haven't figured it out yet. Like I know that you work with a lot of people in the medical profession, and I have a lot of doctor clients as well. And it is amazing, like once you start really kind of making that kind of money after your fellowship or your residency, that you're not really well equipped to know what to do. So kind of, being able to help people not only, look their best, right? That's, through the physical, but also kind of spiritual. Like, what are your values? I know that you and your wife talk about that on your podcast too, like what's driving you, and kind of the money side of it. To me, the money side is almost the easy part, which is like there are numbers and there's measurements and we can be tactical about it. But it's like having that energy and that motivation to make sure that you're spending time on each component of it.
True. I agree with you. The the money side does become the easy part. But here's why. It's because the numbers don't lie.
Correct.
Numbers don't make up stories. The numbers just are.
Yeah.
Money coming in, money going out. Now, the why behind all the things that were happening, that's where you get to make up some stories. The stories you tell yourself, the stories you tell your significant other, and the stories that you just don't talk about. And so that piece of it, I think, is what makes it so difficult for people sometimes to recognize that table leg is not as strong as it should be. It's just, I call it the veil of ignorance. And you can be a highly educated, very intelligent human being. It's like with doctors, literally saving people's lives on a daily basis, but not know the difference between a Roth and a pre-tax 401k.
And I do think that sometimes people come in with some stories, right? Like stories inherited from parents. I have a lot of clients that are first generation professionals. So they weren't raised in families where like your parents had 401ks. So like, who are you going to learn from? Yeah. Like, are you going to crowdsource this information, listen to a million podcasts? So then working with a professional like you or me is really like, it's the time save. So it's like, do I spend 60 hours of my time trying to figure this out on my own? Or do I find an expert to help me kind of up level my game more quickly?
Speaking of experts, I've said this before many times on this podcast. My father was a general contractor. I know how to do just about everything. Cabinets, floors. I hate carpet. Don't do carpet. Carpet's the worst. Building decks, rebuilding house. We've rebuilt houses from the ground up. That was summer jobs for many, many years. Downstairs, there are two contractors replacing about a 6x6 piece of plaster of my ceiling from a leak. Could I do it myself? Absolutely. That is easy work. Grab jigsaw, cut out hole, get piece to replace it, tack it up there, put some plaster on it to seal it, paint it, walk away.
Yeah, but to me, that's an incredible skill. Like if I could do my whole life over, I would love to be a general contractor and know how all those pieces of a puzzle fit together, like plumbing, electrical, building the house, framing it. I think that's amazing.
Which is why I'm okay with just overseeing the job and paying them to do it.
Yeah.
Okay. I know what needs to be done, but do I want to do it? Do I want to take that time away from playing basketball with my daughter? Do I want to take that time away from doing a podcast with Katy? Because I could be doing that right now. Instead of here with Katy, I could be replacing a piece of sheetrock. No, I'd rather pay an expert that does it every day, because me doing it, guess what? I haven't done it in a while. The likelihood that I'm going to make mistakes, that it's probably going to take longer, that I might have to watch a YouTube video or two. Like, okay, wait, how do I make sure I don't saw the beams, the port beams as I'm trying to cut this out? Let me just hire an expert to do it. Let me just hire an expert. So Katy,
financial planning.
Exactly. So Katy, tell us how you've wound up in Austin today, but go back about 15 years to tell us the story of how you got here.
Yeah, so I'm a certified financial planner. I have been since 2008. Before that, I have my MBA from UC Berkeley. I have a bachelor's in global economics. So I've always been kind of interested in finance and running businesses and the number side of things. I was an investment banker at Citibank, and I worked with like the largest tech companies, Microsoft, Intel, Oracle. I got to travel the world to help them do their businesses around the world. In 2008, I realized I needed to pivot. I had just started my family. I had my first daughter.
Heck of a time to pivot, Katy. Come on now.
I know, right? Yeah. Well, I think for me, kind of the market was already imploding. So it was like, do I stay around for an investment banking bonus, or do I go do something else? So financial planning was the perfect combination of like the numbers and the analytical component of money and of finance and the relationship. So, I do think that I was kind of put on this earth to like serve and to help people stress less about money and like live a better life than what they're living now, and kind of like realize, like you say, the money script, like help them figure that out. Like, what is your vision for the life you really want to lead? I mean, rarely do people come to me and they're like, I've got it all figured out. So I became a certified financial planner in 2011. I started Katy Song Financial Planning, and I always focused on families with young children and couples starting their lives together. And the reason for that niche for me is like, not only was that where I was in my life, is that to me, the financial services industry was a little bit broken. Since the focus primarily to get financial advice is on assets under management or investment management, I felt like there was so many people that weren't getting sound financial advice because they didn't have enough money. So the reason focusing on families with young children and couples just starting is they don't really have that investment assets to invest anyway, but they still want to know, like, how much house can I afford? How do I pay for daycare? Can I take a vacation? Can I renovate a bathroom? Can we buy a family car? Can I afford to have a second or third child? So those are the kind of pain points that I'm trying to solve for my clients. And 2008 was a tough year to start financial planning. But one thing about financial planning is that it's very resistant to changes in the economy. Like when the economy's bad, 2008 was all about triage. People were short selling their houses. They were taking money out of their kids' 529 plans because they got laid off and they couldn't afford, to pay for things. And then in good times, it's like, okay, I've got this extra money. What do I do with it? I want to be smart about it. So it's kind of a recession-proof, industry to get into.
Yeah, I share with people all the time when they ask, well, aren't you worried about a recession and what that does to your business? I was like, man, that's Thrive season. That's when all the people that were the do-it-yourselfers come knocking on my door like, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm like, I know.
Yeah, it's a powerful motivator. I mean, I think, the way that I run my business is trying to take the fear out of finance. I think like the big banks and stuff like that, they try to scare you into thinking that you're going to make a poor decision. So you better hire them to do it for you. So kind of my modality is sort of like teach a woman or man to fish, eat for a lifetime. Like I really love, the educational component of it. So like you were saying earlier, like what kind of investments do you have in a Roth? Why do you even want to have a Roth? Why should you be saving for your emergency fund? So really getting back to like, what's the purpose of your money, and kind of the tactics. The thing is like, as Katy sung financial planning, I was one person. So I always had like a 2 to 6 month wait list at all times, which is great to have as a business owner. But I got to a point where I really wanted to scale. So in late 2023, I sold my business to Domain Money and I became the chief financial planner. So Domain Money is a startup in New York. They kind of shut down what they did and they became me. So they took on kind of my products, my services, my process. And they had a team of CFPs that I got to train to be, to provide financial planning service like I do. So it enables us to help a lot more people and we're continuing to grow. And we have, I'm trying to hire some more CFPs right now because we have this huge backlog of clients that want to start working. And we don't, because of human capacity, we need to hire, which is great.
So how big is the firm now?
Well, so we've got 7 on my team. And so my goal would be to get it to like 10 in the next quarter. But I mean, we have our partnerships. One of the things that we've really focused on was partnering with obviously people that align with our business, but there's so many, I mean, this, like having a podcast, there's so many financial influencers out there that have enormous audiences. And the financial influencer can't give financial advice because most of them have no financial acumen whatsoever. I mean, like, it's not that they're giving bad advice, but they don't have any licenses. They don't have the educational background like we do on being able to legally give financial advice. So we've partnered with, some influencers out there whose kind of values align with ours so that we can help the people in their audience that want customized financial planning help or a double check. Like if they're a DIYer and they're like, okay, I think I'm doing this right, but I want to hire you because we're a flat fee. So we charge like a one-time fee. And they never pay that again. And then after that, it's pretty much hourly. So it's a very different business model.
That's an interesting network. Okay, different model. Are you open to sharing what your fee is?
Yes. So we have 3 different plans. We have the kind of the 1-page plan, which is the starter plan. That's $2,800. We have a strategic plan, which you kind of move up the food chain as your life gets more complicated. So our strategic plan is $4,800 and our comprehensive plan is $7,800. So I would say like the first plan is really for my more like Gen Z, millennial clients. They're like, okay, I think I might want to buy a house. I might want to start a family. what should I be saving? Take a look at my investments. How much house can I afford? So it's really providing a framework for, okay, here's to get you on the right path for the things that you want to do. The strategic and comprehensive tend to be for clients that already own a home, already have kids, and so their life is a little bit more expensive and complicated, and they need really detailed advice across the different areas of their financial life, everything from cash flow to investments to retirement to insurance to estate planning.
Got it. Okay. And then if they need more advice, they come back, you said, on an hourly basis?
Yeah, so I do like to meet with my clients on an annual basis, but like all my heavy lifting is up front, getting to know a client's financial picture and building the financial model. Keeping it updated is easy. So kind of watching the relationship grow. So like I said, I've been doing this in 2008. So, my daughter's a senior in high school now. So the people that I started with that were having babies at the same time, like all our kids are going to college. So we've been meeting throughout the years, and to see the progression and to see them now get to a point where now paying for college is a reality. And like, how do we use the resources that we've been setting aside and which accounts to pull from and which investments to sell? That's the fun part. The fun part is keeping the relationship going.
Indeed. I want to go back to something you said about influencers. I had the pleasure of being featured in an article written by Rob Burgess. And the title article was "Dislike and Unsubscribe: Advisors Combating Misleading Social Media Advice." So I'm going to read a few pieces from this because I find it very, very interesting, especially with what you just shared. The research analyzed 2,470 TikTok, YouTube, and Instagram videos focusing on popular finance-related accounts, searching hashtags like stock talk, investing, and stock tips. They also analyzed 1,620 crypto-related videos across different coins. Here's the startling information. The analysis found that 83% of the videos lack disclaimers. 70% of the videos encourage stock-specific investments without sufficient context addressing risk. 50% of stock content imply guaranteed returns. And 45% of the videos encourage viewers to invest a specific portion of income.
That's scary.
That is terrifying. So I was asked to be a part of the article, and that's all he gave in the beginning. And then he asked a bunch of questions. And I started off with, look, whether you choose to use my comments or not, I want to see the rest of this article because, yes, it is. I hear it all the time.
Well, one of my planners, Brian, I'm not on TikTok. I think I'm too old for that. Maybe not. I'm just more of an Instagram person. But he was on TikTok, and he saw some person saying that, like, if you make $100,000, you can afford $1 million home. And like because we're a small, financial planning shop, we like having making videos and posting reels on Instagram to help people, get over this bad advice. He flat out said, like, no, you can't. If you make $100,000, you cannot afford a $1 million home. This is bad advice.
Yeah.
And like, as a regulated institution, like, we have to have disclaimers. So
yes.
I would be curious to hear or read that article to see, what is the repercussion of giving bad advice to people?
No, that's part of our complaint. That's what one of the things another individual that was interviewed stated is that the industry or the regulators spend more time going after us than going after the people that are giving bad advice. Like they're more worried about
who audiences too.
Yeah, exactly. They're more about whether or not we put the disclaimer or we put, we missed a word on our website. Regulators, don't come at me. Just leave me alone. But the point is, we feel in the industry more time is spent on whether or not we did some minor infraction than the dozens upon dozens of consumers that are getting hurt by this bad advice. I mean, and it's bad. It's really, really bad. Like you said, the 100,000 you can afford $1 million. I've had clients come to me. So I saw that I can qualify for this loan, and all I have to do is say this. I'm like, perjure yourself? Yeah, go ahead. Why not?
Well, there was an article in the Wall Street Journal just recently about my rich BFF, who was like a huge financial influencer, and she's set to make $7 million this year. I mean, that's a lot of eyeballs.
I got to go look this one up. I don't know this
I
one.
know, what are
Or
we
if I
doing
do,
here?
I've probably already scrolled past it so many times.
Yeah, no, it's not really my demographic.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's the thing of, with the people that we partner, like one of the people we partner with is Money with Katy. I think she's phenomenal. She does a lot of her homework.
I know Katy. I think Katy spoke at if it's the same Katy, I think so. She believes she spoke
Katy Guy,
at Future Proof.
probably. She's
Okay.
amazing. So
Yeah.
I did a financial plan for her. We partner with her. Whenever she has a question, she'll just text me and be like, "Hey, this is what I'm thinking. Can you tell me if this is right or wrong?" And then, I will jump on and do her little expert testimony when she needs it. But so there are some people that are responsible like that because they care, right? They care about giving really good advice and not just like having a bunch of eyeballs and making a lot of money.
My favorite ones are the tax ones. There was one the other day that said, if I take a business call while sitting on the toilet, my toilet tissue is now tax deductible.
Tell me one CPA who's going to agree with that.
Actually, I can tell you a few. So I've viewed with my own eyes. This has happened several times, even this year. So this happened actually 3 times in the last 90 days. New client, I take a look at their tax returns, and I'm going through everything, and I say, "Oh, wow, you're really philanthropic." I'm like, "What do you mean?" "Well, I see that you gave over $35,000 to charity last year." "No, I didn't." "That's what your tax return says you did."
That's scary.
Scary.
I mean, I
was
see
like,
it more
that's
like a business owner is expensing their wardrobe, and I'm like,
yeah,
not so much, not so
yeah.
much.
It's like, is that a uniform?
Yeah.
Because don't look like one. Is it the same thing wear every day? I always wonder. It's like, well, if I did go start wearing the same thing every day, could I call it a uniform? And I've asked my CPA, and he's like, I mean, do you want to have to fight that? And I'm like, no,
Yeah.
I'll take another battle. I'll take
Yeah,
another
no
battle.
thanks. I don't want to be on the IRS's bad side.
No, I already have been. So I've got a whole article on LinkedIn about that. But I've been on the bad side. I've had to sit down with an IRS revenue agent that actually carries a gun. I'm like, why do you have a gun? I'm like, because we're supposed to. I'm like, oh, this is real. Okay.
I didn't know they were armed. That's even
They
scarier.
are armed. They are armed. It was scary.
I mean, I try to tell most people, there are kind of 3 things, and I think you'll agree with me. There are 3 things that you can really control, right? Like how much you make, how much you spend, and your tax planning. And I know it's not sexy at all, but those are the things that you need to start off with. Like, it doesn't matter if you are just new to financial literacy and starting your journey or you're way into it. But like, once you have those 3 things dialed in, and when I say know what you make, like, it is amazing to me the number of people who you ask them, like, what's your base pay? And they don't know the answer to it.
Or you ask them what their gross income is, and they say, "Is that what I bring home?" I'm like, no.
Yeah.
Gross.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like, okay, let's not be too judgy. Like, net and gross can be confusing to some people.
I guess.
But I would like them to know, like, I make 100, I make 200.
Exactly. No, that's what I'm saying. I would like you to know how much do you make? Not just what
And
you
like,
take home. What do you make? What when you said yes to the job, how much did they say they were going to pay you?
exactly. And then sometimes even like I want them, and I don't do this with most clients, but some clients that are definitely wanting to understand more than the basics, I'll be like, let's look at your pay stub. I want to understand every single line of this. It's just basic homework, right? This is your time. Like, your human capital is your most valuable asset. And if you're not being compensated for your time, that is not going to appreciate at the rate that it needs to. So to me, like, that's huge. And then knowing where your money's going, I mean, I would say easily 90% of the people that come to work with me have no idea, not really, like, where their money's going.
We're working with the same people. That means it's real out there in the field.
Problem.
Yeah, it's well, and the reason why I find it to be such a problem is because our financial lives to become easier has only made it more complicated to track. So if I think back to my first bank account, I was, I don't know, 14, 15 years old when I was aware of it anyways. And I had a little checkbook that I couldn't write checks. That's what I would use as withdrawal slips. If I go in the bank, I could go and write on that withdrawal slip and give it and take some money out the bank. And I had a debit card. Okay. And that was it. There was no other way for money to get out of my account. There was no online bill pay. There was no, I wasn't using my debit card. It was debit ATM. Excuse me. Let me rephrase. It was an ATM card.
Yeah, you can't use that at stores.
Couldn't use it at a store. Didn't even have 16 digits. It had like 8 digits. You could only go to the credit union's ATM machine and wait as the matrix showed up on the screen to show me how much money I had, and to take my $20 out. Can only take money out in tens.
Yeah.
But it was easy to determine, okay, if I got paid $515 on Friday, I know on Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, unless I go to the ATM or I go to the bank, nothing's going to happen to my bank account.
Yeah.
But today we have Cash App and Venmo and Apple Pay and GPay and Bill Pay and credit cards and debit cards and Zelle and I share with clients all the time, you're way too intelligent to try to do mental math on balancing your checkbook. You're too smart for that. Okay.
Well, and technology can be your friend. It's just one of the big things is, I think, in the financial planning world is helping people not be stressed about those numbers. So like, okay, your money is supposed to flow, right? Like, I think your wife had like this whole mantra thing that I loved. And
everyone loves her. She gets more compliments on her podcast. Her one show. Anyway, I love it.
So the mantra is about like your money is supposed to flow. It's not supposed to stagnate. Like you need accounts in certain positions to be able to receive it. Like I do agree that like, if you open up a brokerage account and you start putting $10 in, like you're sending a message to the universe that you're planning to fill this account and, and get a goal and be on track for it. So I think that one thing is like helping clients realize it's supposed to flow. It's supposed to go up and down. That's okay. But overall, in a month, like it's November 19th. Like, what did you spend in October? Like, I know because I have an app and it tells me like, okay, your outflow is this. So I don't think that it's that hard. It's just getting them over the hump to realize, okay, this is what your target is. Just look once a month to see if you're on target. And if you're not, why not? Did you have to fix your basement roof? And it costs like $1,800 to like get it fixed and do the drywall? Or did you buy plane tickets? Or whatever it might be. I just want my clients to be able to explain to me, if you weren't on target, why not?
Indeed. I agree. So something I've been asking the other financial planners that I've interviewed is about this AI revolution that we're having. And I just wanted to get your thoughts on how AI is impacting not just you as a financial planner, but what do you see some of the impacts to be on the consumer, and particularly what they can do without a financial planner for the DIYers out there?
So I heard your podcast with Caleb Brown. I think it was.
Oh, wow. Okay. Did you speed listen to like all 5 seasons? Okay, there you go. All right.
So, but the crazy thing is that I met Caleb Brown 15 years ago at my first FPA conference.
Wow.
Yeah, and he was like, I remember on your show, he was like, yeah, I've been doing this for 15 years. I'm like, that's when I met you. It was amazing. Awesome. That's full circle. So we use AI at my company for 2 main things, just like from a process standpoint, categorizing expenses. So if we get the CSV files of all your transactions from your credit card and your bank, we have an AI program that categorizes it into the format that we want so we can analyze your cash flow. So that's super useful. For a lot of my clients, since we don't manage money, we don't custody assets, we get statements from everywhere. Vanguard, Fidelity, Merrill, you name it. And we get those kind of statements in PDF. So again, we use AI to sift through those PDFs and put it in the format that we use to do our analysis. So AI has helped shave off, a good 4 hours of the planning process for us, which is great. And I do think that from a service perspective, that's going to continue to evolve. I think kind of an exciting thing also is like, how do you get more content out there? Like there are these crazy AI programs now where you can create a clone. You can create the ability to create content by using that clone and using kind of written text, which I think is pretty cool. And I think that, I think we all use ChatGPT or Copilot to be like, hey, what is the limit for your HSA for 2025? Like that kind of stuff, it just makes research a lot easier. I agree with your premise in that podcast that you can't replace the human expert. I mean, I put stuff in ChatGPT and like maybe 70% of it's like pretty good, but like some of it's wrong and some of it's old. And if you don't have a human to be like, that's not really the right thing for you, or, yeah, maybe you can spend that much on a house, but that's not affordable given your life. There are these nuances and expertise that, AI is definitely not there yet. And I think all the research really shows that people still want humans involved.
Agreed. Yeah, I don't know. I don't remember if it's with Caleb, but I may have mentioned on a podcast. If I did and you heard it already, great. I did ask AI, client asked about HSA contributions.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, let me see if ChatGPT can get this one right. And the question was about whether him and his wife can both max out their HSAs at the family level. Intuitively, I was like, nah, you can't do that. That's double dipping. But I said, let me ask AI. ChatGPT said yes.
Bad.
It did. I was like, oof.
There's so much misunderstanding around those. They seem like insignificant nuances, like in the grand scheme of things, but that makes people mistrust. Like if you gave somebody that financial advice and then the IRS comes after them and they're like, dude, you put an extra $8,000 where you weren't allowed to do it.
Take it out, pay the penalties, pay the tax. And it depends on when you catch it, So, that could,
years later, you're screwed.
That could be a multi-$1,000 mistake.
Yeah. And also it's, the client's not going to trust you anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And they're not going to trust their own financial decision making anymore. And that's, what we're trying to avoid as a profession.
Yeah. I still believe with AI, as with all of the social media stuff we see, the good old phrase, trust but verify.
I like that. That's good.
Okay, let me go verify. And sure enough, I said, what was your source on this? And he gave me a source. It was a government website, and it just read it wrong.
Oh.
So I went to that site, and it definitely did not say that on that site. I was like, you got that wrong. So trust but verify. And that's also where the human aspect comes in. So I'm talking to you, listener. I'm talking to you, viewer. I'm talking to you, DIYer. Yes, technology has improved dramatically. You have access to so much information at your fingertips, and it's not as difficult as it used to be. When you'd have to go to Google and scroll through all the different links to try to find the answer. Well, now you have something that's trying to pull all that together and just give you the answer. And if you're using it to make an apple pie, I don't know if you need to verify making an apple pie. I think making an apple pie has been pretty much the same for about the last
300 years.
Well, I was going to say go into industrial stoves. So I'm going to say the last 80, 90 years. We're not using firewood stoves anymore. We actually have gas and those sort of things. So anyway, it's been the same for a long time. And the worst that can happen if you mess up an apple pie is you don't have dessert. But when it comes to getting financial advice, it is good to do some research. It's also good if you get advice from a financial advisor to take that advice and go trust but verify. Go do some of your own research, but check those sources. Verify from reputable sources. And if you haven't received the financial advice and you're just out there pulling it off the internet, go to a reputable source. I've had dozens of financial advisors that I would trust my own money with on this podcast. Find someone that relates to you. Now, Katy has a bit of a waiting list. So
I have other planners. That would love to talk to anybody listening to this who wants flat fee, no strings attached, no products being sold, financial advice.
There you go. So Katy's an option as well, but get some professional advice from a human. So Katy, if individuals would like to get into, almost forgot. Almost did it again. I got to ask you your first memory of money. What's your first memory of money?
I've always been an entrepreneur. I think my first memory is like as a young kid, like washing my parents' car or cleaning up my mom's makeup and getting paid for it. I always liked doing things where I made money. And yeah, I've always had a job.
And to this day, still doing it. I see it.
Still doing
I love it.
Yep.
All right, Katy, if people want to reach out to you, where can they find you?
Domainmoney.com. We offer a free 30-minute strategy session for everybody. So it doesn't matter if you have negative net worth or have $16 million. We work with everybody. Usually our clients make around $100,000 or more. So that's kind of like, I would just say to the audience that if you make less than that, our price point might feel a little too cumbersome for you. But we would love to talk to you and see how we can help.
Beautiful. I love it. Well, Katy, thank you for spending some time with us on the Money Script podcast. We will see you next time. Take care.
Thank you.
I'm back. Wasn't that a great show? I hope you learned something. I know I did. Now, before you go trying anything you heard today, remember, it is not intended to be specific tax or legal advice. If you need that, go see a CPA or an attorney. If you would like any complimentary consultation with a knowledgeable advisor, visit moneyscript.com and schedule a 15-minute consultation. Want Johans to come speak at your next event? Go to the Money Script website for that too. Of course, if you're watching on YouTube, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and click the bell for notifications. MoneyScript Wealth Management is a registered financial advisory service in multiple states. Want to learn more? Get the full disclosure on our website, moneyscript.com.